You be careful round these parts, little dragon. There be more ghosts in this here shipyard than I can shake my pick at. Darn shame, too, because I was mighty close to finding my treasure.
So welcome to Lost Fleet. This could be seen as one of the more infamous levels in Year of the Dragon. One of the reasons that this is a very large and dense level. There is a lot to cover. And also, depending on the order of the levels you do, you may not be able to do everything here on the first trip. We can now, because we chose to do this as one of the first levels in Evening Lake. But the reason why there's a chance that you could get locked out of finishing in the first pass, I can't say right now. But I should be able to say probably in the next episode, depending on the progress of the narrative of Year of the Dragon, which I hope that you have been paying attention to on your own time, since I choose not to talk over cutscenes most of the time, so that I can let the game speak for itself and let the viewer engage with the game directly, rather than engaging mostly with my commentary, if that makes any sense. So we're going to have the return of the cannons from ICP. I believe I alluded to this, but there's going to be some vultures laying around in the air, and like in ICP, you're going to have to defeat the vultures to get their gems. Ooh, I got a pretty good shot on that one. Can I get the same thing for this vulture? On second thought, I think that vulture is impossible to get with this cannon. I think we need to find another cannon. But thankfully, you can use the cannon to destroy a bunch of metal chests nearby, including one that's somewhat well hidden in this cave right here. Okay. Just so you know, I usually record these episodes without my TV volume, and I don't have a headset, so you know, most of the time it works out fine, because a lot of these games I'm playing are mostly visual based, but oh boy, imagine trying to play a rhythm game with my setup, man. That would be painful. But we're gonna continue with the main path. Vultures, I can just do them off screen, worst case scenario. This is gonna be a large level, so the larger the level, expect more jump cuts. Although, in retrospect, I don't think I jump cut it all that much in Enchanted Towers, you know, relative to the size of that level, at any rate. But, yeah, we also have the return of the crab enemies from Aquaria Towers, all the way back in Spyro 2. And we also have Rhinox that are dressed up as ghosts, but in two different ways. We have a single small Rhinox that dresses up as a flying ghost with wings. That seems kind of redundant since ghosts usually float, but it is what it is. And you have a pair of small Rhinox that team up to form up the shape of a larger ghost. Kind of interesting, actually. For some reason, that kind of thing reminds me of like Scooby-Doo, because, you know, in Scooby-Doo, the mystery gang usually unmask a villain at the end, and sometimes it's obvious who the villain is, and a few times it's probably not as obvious, but it seems like it's almost always unintentionally hilarious how they react to finding out who the villain is in Scooby-Doo. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious to be sure. I think I can get these vultures rather easily. Yep, got those two vultures. And for a bonus, let's see if we can get that crab all over there. Yep, got the crab. Most importantly, though, we need to get that door with the red X on it. Let's see. Is this vulture doable with this cannon, or are we going to have to get another cannon? I think we're going to have to do it off screen or just get another cannon. No big deal there. But you see all this green acid water all around Lost Fleet, right? That's dangerous. You don't want to touch that, because it works the same as lava, even though technically you can dive under it. And you're probably wondering, how are you going to dive under acidic water? Remember that power-up you got to deal with for a very brief period of time in the Evening Lake homeworld? You know, that shield power-up? Well, actually, that's the same power-up as what we had in Skilos Badlands in Spyro 2, but yeah, that power-up returns. Probably one of the least used power-ups in the series, now that I'm thinking back on it.
Oh, look at that. Some fool hid a daggum egg in my treasure.
So we get Craig, just a baby dragon named Craig, and he's asleep on the job, as usual. But then again, babies need more sleep than most, for some reason. Something to do with their being a developing body, I guess you could say. Alright, so for this section, you need to use the defense power-up to go under the green ooze And there's a bunch of gems here, but they aren't as important. The important thing is there's at least one dragon egg you can get through here through swimming a very specific path. There might be 2 dragon eggs, to my knowledge, but I know there's at least one to worry about. But sadly, you are on a limited time frame, and you can also fall off the edge. Okay, let's try heading mostly east as much as we can. Like right here, yeah, nice little hidden niche there, but I think this just takes us to a few gems near the waterfall that takes you to a sub-area, actually. Yeah, it's very hard to see anything down here in Reignited, and I don't know why that is. Why it's like that. And I'm starting to think maybe there isn't an egg under there. Maybe I'll have to come back to that, alright? Let's head forward, since we're already so close to the sub-area portal to the skateboard area. Yes, there is a skateboard area in Lost Fleet, if you can believe it. And there are gems to collect here, too. Both near the track and on the track itself. So here's the deal. You're gonna have to race a bunch of Rhinox in a race. A skateboard race. Yes. And afterwards, Hunter is gonna ask you to race him. I'm gonna leave in the first race, but I'm gonna cut out the second race. Because the second race is exactly the same with only a few minor differences. Okay?
Spyro! You're just in time! A Rhinox skateboard gang's challenged us to a race. They said you're slower than a molten crater fire slug. I stuck up for you, though. I told them I've seen some pretty fast fire slugs. So, are you ready to race these guys? They bet us an egg that you won't win. Right on! You can use my special racing board. Every time you do a trick, it builds up turbocharge. You can use your turbos at any time by pressing the charge button. Good luck!
Alright, so the main difference, other than the fact this is a race and not just a score session or whatever you want to call it, is that you will get boost by doing tricks off of the ramps. You also get a little bit of boost for running into the crab enemies that are scattered around the track as well. Just keep that in mind. But there are gems to worry about, so you may want to get those gems because it's, at least until you complete the 2 missions, it's pretty much impossible to try and get the gems on your own time. I don't think you can spawn a skateboard right away. Thankfully, I don't think you need that much boost to overtake the Rhinox, if this is technically the easier mission. Yeah, you're probably wondering why the race against just Hunter is harder than a race against a bunch of Rhinox. Well, it's because of the other caveats that come with the Hunter race. So now that we're ahead of the Rhinox, we can try to take our time a little bit and try and get some of those gems. The crabs won't drop gems, thankfully. At least only here in the racetrack they don't drop gems, so that's good, at least. But yeah, you're going to be spamming back flips and front flips a lot, because that's just the most consistent and the best way to get boost. You also need a significant amount of boost to get to certain paths in the racetrack, as it were. I just jumped there and I couldn't even do a trick because it wasn't a ramp, right? So, I mean, yeah, that's an issue. But, yeah, this race is actually a good bit easier than I remember, thankfully. But consider this a taste of what's to come, because there's still one more skateboard section. It's not going to come for a long time, but it is coming. And you're going to want to be prepared for it. Because while it is nerfed in Reignited Trilogy, it's the other thing that was made easier, because of the removal of the automatic challenge tuning. But it's still going to be pretty problematic, truth be told, just because it was always inherently difficult.
Yes! You schooled them like a bunch of dizzy one-toed sand norks. Oh yeah, I guess we won this egg too. Now that the Rhinox are gone, do you want to try a real challenge? I know you're fast, but I bet you can't defeat all the crabs on the course and still beat me in a race. Want to give it a shot?
Alright, so the caveat is that you need to defeat all of the crabs on the racetrack and beat Hunter in a race. I'm pretty sure you can still fall off your board at least, so that at least gives it the edge over the second lizard mission in Sunny Villa. At any rate though, Hunter, we don't want you to waste our time viewing, so Just give me a second and we're gonna jump cut past this, alright?
All right. Eat my skate dust, sucker. Sheesh. I can't believe you beat me. You must have been practicing the whole time while I thought you were just looking for eggs. Hey, speaking of which, one of those crabs was guarding this one.
Alright, so the race isn't really that hard, but it can still get you because you only have so many chances to get all of the crabs. And at least a couple of them are hidden in some side paths. So you also get a skill point if you redo the racetrack and complete it in a certain time limit. I don't remember exactly what that time limit is, but basically, as long as you're boosting throughout the racetrack for at least like 90% of it or something like that, you should get the skill point. At any rate though, before we leave, I have some gems I gotta go collect, so BRB. Alright, after we dealt with all of that, unfortunately while I was finding the other gems, I still could get the skill point, like I said. It is pretty hard. In addition to wanting to keep boosted for like 90% of the time, don't fall off of your board like a single time during the race. And I think the skill point, I could be off on this, but I think the time limit is something like under a minute 45, maybe a minute 40 just to be safe, but yeah. From the skateboard area though, you can come to this upper area that's near the start of the level. I think it was inaccessible because there's a swirly that spawns here after you complete the main objective. But yeah, it just seems more convenient to do the skateboard area and then come here and do the gem sweep and whatnot. Because yeah, there's a good bit to explore here on the shipyard. Because you can just get on top of here and then get on top of here. And this is like a little bit after where the power-up gate is, the super defense power-up gate. And now that I think that's not the last time we're going to be using the power-up gate in this level. There's another sub-area where we're literally a sub-area where we're going to need to use it. Some more vultures in the air. I'm pretty sure we can get most of them here though. So that's pretty good if that's the case. Got that one. Oh man, these vultures are going to be ending me, I'm telling you. Because sometimes you could be on this for a while, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. But, so make sure we get all the vultures before we move on. Although this is the one over here that I missed earlier. So I'm glad that you can get it with this cannon, and it seems like it's a lot better and more consistent to get it with this cannon. Yep. Got him pretty fast. We got this vulture, that sneaky guy. We got him. I believe there's this one over here. And this one might be the most annoying, actually, now that we've dealt with the other one. Okay, we got him, so I believe that's it. Alright, we're going to want to get to the end of this ship right over here. Be very careful not to fall off, or you'll waste a lot of time. I'm going to guess that that middle container regenerated because of what happened of going into a sub-area and coming back out. No big deal, we'll just destroy it all over again with this cannon. Good reminder for people, I guess. And now we can come all the way over to the start, and now we can see the swirly in a more proper context, I suppose. But yeah, let's come over here, and then just bump over here. Oh, that was a close one. I want to head back over here real quick, though, just to double check. Okay, there's a gem over here. Yeah, I was a little on the fence with that one. And we're going to have to glide to where that shark maw over there, like that cave over there. Yeah, we're going to have to glide there for the next sub-area. Alright, so let's head over here, and then just get these gems finally. Alright, so at this point, I mean, I really don't have to jump cut. It's not that far away. So we're going to go back to the top of the ship, and we're going to glide to the shark maw, and we're going to do that sub-area, and then after that sub-area, I'm probably just gonna get the rest of the gems in this level off screen. Maybe that missing dragon egg, assuming it is a missing dragon egg under the water, but I don't know. I'm starting to have doubts about that. This, like I said, this level is kind of annoying to navigate for whatever reason. So, I mean, yeah, this is one of my least favorite levels in Year of the Dragon, to be sure.
These here waters used to be my favorite diving spot. But I can't get any loot with these subs patrolling around. Think you can pilot this here sub I bought for scrap? Alrighty then. press the jump button to speed on up. And when you get a sub on your sights, the torpedo will start to lock on. If you get a good lock on, fire away with the attack button.
Alright, so the sub, you're going to want to remember these controls, by the way, for no particular reason. I'm just saying you should probably remember the controls for the sub. You got a speed up button, and you got a button to shoot missiles once you get a good shot. But also, you have at least one metal container there. I think there might be one other one. Oh, yeah, look at that. There's at least one other metal container. You got to destroy those. Sadly, you can't get gems while you're in the submarine, and I don't know why that is, but you can't. You're going to have to come back in the water with the Super Defense power-up, and then get the gems with Spyro directly. And yes, that is very annoying to do because you're constantly going to have to refill your power-up. And, I mean, you have the Sparks Treasure Finder, so you can find all the gems that way. You don't need to see me do all that, alright? So, I am going to show off this mission, though. The farmer, or the crazy guy, the miner, whatever you want to call him, he's going to give you a second mission where you got to do the exact same thing as this, but instead of 6 subs, you're going to have 7 submarines, alright? When you lock onto a submarine, you'll have green rings, and then they'll start turning red. Once they're all red, your missiles will be homing, and you should be able to instantly destroy the submarine. So keep that in mind, because I'm going to have to jump cut past the second mission, because, yeah.
Well, I'll be darned. You got some mean sub-driving skills. Why don't you have this here egg as a reward? Well, I hate to ask your help again. There'll be even more subs that don't come out of nowheres. If you could blast them, I could use this acid lake as my swimming hole again. Darn tootin'. Get on, little dragon. Woohoo! At last, the acid lake is safe for swimming again. I wish I could reward you better, but all I got left is this here other egg. Maybe there'll be something better in this one.
Alright, so before I jump cut past the whole gem sweep under the acid water portion of this sub-area, I do want to give a few more tips about the submarine gameplay. Particularly, during the second round, the submarines will fight back. They'll shoot missiles behind them. Or, I don't know if it's missiles or if it's like landmines, one of those. You'll want to be on your toes for all that stuff. And it is possible to destroy the submarines without having a perfect lock-on. You just have to kind of spam your missiles and hope that they run into one of the missiles on their own. Alright, so we're going to jump cut past the gem sweep under the acid water. You go through this power-up portal, and there's another power-up portal inside of the pool. So you're going to have to constantly refresh yourself. Alright, I will see you in a few seconds. Alright, so Sparks is pointing this way, and I still have 5 gems and 1 dragon egg left to find in this level. I'm telling you, this level, it's very annoying to navigate, I'm not gonna lie. There's not really much to like about this level, but let's follow Sparks a little bit, and we'll reach this area, and here is the hidden area that I've been looking for this whole time. Good lord. Oh yeah, and the baby dragon's named Chad. Perfection. Alright though, we're finished with Lost Fleet, thankfully, 100% on the first pass. It was painful, but it is doable. Head up the swirly, and exit, and bada bing bada boom. There's the shark maw.
Welcome to Frozen Altars, Spyro. On behalf of the Ice Fairies, I want to grant you a special power for as long as you stay in our world.
Alright, so welcome to Frozen Altars, everyone. This is my favorite Evening Lake level, and, you know, in retrospect, I'm actually glad I decided to do this after Lost Fleet rather than before, because, thinking about it, if it was that way, we would have ended on a poor level, but now we're going to end on a legitimately great level, I think. Really great, catchy music track, too. If you listen to it long enough, I swear to you, it will become an earworm.
Some bearer sold us a laser defense system to protect us from Rhinox, but with these flippers, I can't even turn it on. You'd have no trouble using it, though. Just walk inside. When you're done, press the action button, and you'll walk back out.
And I really like how chill all of the penguin NPCs in this level talk. This was true in the original Year of the Dragon as well, but it's pretty good here too in Reignited. At any rate though, a lot of the gimmick of Frozen Altars is using these sun lasers, I guess you could call them, to destroy a bunch of ice walls in order to progress forward. And before we continue, I believe it's appropriate to address the elephant in the room, or rather the mammoth in the room. This is the second ice level in Year of the Dragon, and we just had Icy Peak in Midday Gardens not too long ago, I realize. It is weird to have two ice levels in the same game, considering that wasn't really the case in the previous Spyro games. Spyro 2 had... Well, technically Spyro 2 had Crystal Glacier and Icy Speedway, but you could argue that one was a speedway and the other was an actual level. Which, yeah, it's a pretty good point. But it might just be one of those coincidences. Plus, there's a lot more green grass in Frozen Altars this time around. I don't remember all this grass in the original Frozen Altars though, so it's possible that Toys for Bob and Sanzaru Games, maybe they decided to add a little bit more green to differentiate this level a little bit more from Icy Peak, because, yeah, the levels are pretty similar. But it is worth noting that Icy Peak was a pure Spyro level, and Frozen Altars, we're gonna have Bentley, our Yeti friend, just not in the context that you may like.
Eustace and I were having a snowman building competition when the sorceress brought them to life with a spell. Since then, they've been stomping around building ice walls and generally causing trouble.
So we also have to worry about destroying a bunch of evil snowmen that the sorceress has summoned. And it's actually quite insane how identical the new reignited versions of the snowman look, just like the PS1 designs. Is that a testament to how well the PS1 designs have aged? Or is there possibly something deeper? Another interesting thing about Frozen Altars is that at the start of the level, there was an ice fairy that granted Spyro the ice breath ability. Which is kind of funny because in one of the newer Spyro games, obviously not Reignited Trilogy, I'm talking about like one of the Spyro games that were released in between the PS1 era and the Reignited era, I guess we could call them. This was a game called Spyro: A Hero's Tale. You actually could learn how to breathe ice. It came really late in the game though, as I recall, like almost at the tail end of the game. Which is funny because the game is called Spyro: A Hero's Tale, I realize. But yeah, it's very interesting how this is sort of precursor to that. But this is also kind of a follow-up on the Ice Breath power-up from Cloud Temples. The difference is that in Cloud Temples, it was really more of a snowball firing ability, whereas here, it literally is Ice Breath, as you can see here. It's essentially the same as the flame, except your flame will no longer defeat most enemies. Instead, you will freeze the enemies in a block of ice, and at that point, your charge attack can pretty much kill anything, to my knowledge. But I don't think there are any enemies that are wearing metal armor in this level, so that's not really an issue. But because of the Ice Breath, it really opens you up to a lot of interesting platforming opportunities. Which is why I think that this is either equal to or maybe even better than Icy Peak. Kind of crazy, huh? How some of my favorite music tracks and some of my favorite levels in Year of the Dragon are the ice-themed levels, which some might argue is a little repetitive that there are two ice levels in the same game. But I don't know. I think it works out pretty nice, to be honest. I don't really want to listen to that NPC's dialogue because I don't think it's important to the narrative of the level. We're just gonna take advantage of him, freeze him, and climb on top of the platform. You can use enemies as your platforms too, but you also have to defeat enemies to get gems. So a fair compromise might just be to use the NPCs all the time and get in the habit of doing that whenever you're coming to Frozen Altars. And I really do like this level. There is one part of the level that I maybe don't like as much on an execution level, but on a conceptual level, Bentley's section in Frozen Altars, I actually like a lot. Again, on a conceptual level, Alright, I believe this is our second evil snowman. And I'm trying to think. I think there's like evil snowman in South Park or something like that. I think it was like a pilot episode. And I seem to recall that the snowman design looked similar to the one here in Year of the Dragon. I wonder if that's a coincidence because the South Park pilot was made years before Year of the Dragon came out. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than just a coincidence. Anyway, we're gonna clear out the gens here, and I believe we're good. So let's see what Bentley's been up to for the last, I don't know, 40 or so minutes in terms of Let's Play time.
Ah, Spyro, I have just received word from my little brother. He appears to be having some trouble with a Yeti.
That dumb Yeti took my ball. I told him to give it back or you'd kick his lousy butt, but he wouldn't listen. I knew you'd do it. Go and show him not to mess with us. Remember to block his high punches and hit him low when he tries to block.
Okay, so welcome to Yeti Boxing. You will either be happy or sad to know that this surprisingly plays pretty similarly to how it did in the PS1 version. A lot of different attacks though, and since I'm playing on Switch, my memory is going to be faulty, probably a little bit. But there is a pattern to this Yeti. I want to say you hit him high and then you hit him low, I think is the pattern. So that's what I'm going to try to do. But this guy can be kind of a rascal, I'm not going to lie. But this first round is thankfully easy because Bentley can take a lot of hits, but the Yeti himself can't really take as many punches. So... oh, there we go. First round done. That's the easy part.
You really showed him. Hey, wait a minute. This isn't my ball. You should go back and kick his butt again. Make him give me my ball back. This time, it'll be a 3-round match. And when you win, don't let him send you off with a stupid egg.
Alright, so this is the hard part. The Yeti, he's not going to take any of your crap this time. Alright, so let's see if I can do this. Oh, I remember now. There's a faster attack you can do for the upper attack. Alright. But yeah, this is the basic pattern you want to do. Up and down. Up and down. The equivalent on PlayStation, or I should say on PlayStation it would be X and square, kind of alternating a little bit. I'm playing on Switch, so that would probably be B and Y, unless you rejiggered the control somehow. Actually, I think the Yeti boxing might be a little bit nerfed compared to how it was on the PS1. Could be mistaken. And there is a skill point. I don't know if it's within 1 round or 2 rounds, but don't think it's gonna matter, because I think he's down for the count, baby. Whew.
Hey, this isn't my ball. It's just another stupid egg.
Well, that was technically the most annoying part of Frozen Altars, and we just took care of it on the first try, because, yeah, all you gotta do is just hit low and hit high. I swear, it's just a lot easier in Reignited, though. You know what? That is really chill. Now, I can pretty much relax for the rest of this Let's Play, because we took care of Lost Fleet. Oh boy, I'm not looking forward to editing that, by the way, because that is a large, messy level. Let me tell you about that time. But yeah, we got Lost Fleet out of the way, we got the Yeti boxing out of the way. Yeah, the rest of this level, the rest of this episode is going to be pretty chill. TBH. There is one more sub-area here in Frozen Altars. It's kind of another ice hockey thing, but it's like cat ice hockey or something like that. It's much more like the ice hockey from Colossus and Spyro 2 than the sub-area in ICP, which was a figure skating escort mission, basically. I mean, that's basically what you can call it. But you gotta love Nancy's Canadian accent. The Canadian accent of all the NPCs in ICP, really. I can't seem to remember if the Canadian accent for those guys is more pronounced or less pronounced compared to how it was in the original Year of the Dragon. It's been a while since I've played the original Year of the Dragon at this point, and gotta be honest, I can only think of one reason to go back to the original Year of the Dragon, and it would probably be to record like an abridged long play where I only show off the levels that are different than the current most current incarnations of Year of the Dragon. So I think that's the only real way to complement this Reignited trilogy playthrough. Both the Let's Play and the Speedplay, really. Wow! All the gems already? For some reason I remember having to collect more gems by this point, but we got the main dragon egg over there, and we have... oh... well, I'm not gonna let Moneybags ruin our chill. Let's talk to this guy to get some needed chill.
Thanks for helping out, Spyro. Why don't you take this? The Rhinox were trying to fry it with a laser, but you stopped them just in time.
That we did. Jana. That, I also don't remember that baby dragon name either. Granted, there are like 150 dragon names to remember, so... and I never really bothered to remember all the baby dragon names, but Jana, I don't remember that. I might have to look into that, actually. Okay, so you gotta pay Moneybags to get into the cat hockey thing. Funnily enough, just like with the figure skating in Icy Peak.
Say, Spyro, you're a sports fan, aren't you? As you probably know, Frozen Altars is the birthplace of the great sport of cat hockey. Today's match is sold out, of course, but I just happen to have a spare ticket that I'll sell you for, say, a teensy-weensy markup. Head on in, Spyro. It should be a thrilling match. In fact, I've even placed a little wager on the Rhinoc team. Let's just hope the local team doesn't have any last-minute accidents.
Alright, so let's just head right in and dive into some cat hockey, everybody.
I challenged a Rhinoc to a traditional game of cat hockey, but I think I sprained my flipper while training. Would you mind taking my place? Great. Freeze the cats and push them into my goal to score.
Alright, so this minigame is kind of weird. You have to freeze the cats, and while they're frozen, that is when you need to move them into your goal. They're not going to stay frozen for very long, so you're going to have to spam your ice breath a little bit to make sure that they stay frozen. And for some reason, the Rhinoc hockey player can freeze the cats. It's weird. He freezes them with his hockey stick. And be careful, because the Rhinoc hockey player can damage you with his hockey stick. And it does deal damage to your health. So, combined with the smaller amount of time that the cats stay frozen and all that other stuff, I feel like this minigame has actually gotten harder since the original, but it was so brain-dead easy in the original Year of the Dragon that I don't think this is really bothersome. It can be a little time-consuming, it takes a while to get the cats in the goal. Hold up. Alright. I think once the cat is in the goal, it will stay in the goal as far as your count, your score is concerned. I think so. Wow, that Rhinoc hockey player really just wasted his time trying to get that cat out of my goal, and he did. Okay, that was gonna be his point. But at this point, I think I won. Get in there, kid.
Well done. I think you deserve to keep the Champions Cup.
So here's a baby dragon named Ba. It's worth noting that in the original Year of the Dragon, the animation for that baby dragon is that he's in a sheep costume. Sadly, they probably had to cut that for time here in Reignited, but it's no big whoop. At least they kept the name, you know? Okay, so you're probably wondering what the heck just happened. That was a rather quick and abrupt cutscene. So, Hunter is now trapped in a jail cell of sorts, after you complete 3 of the 5 main levels in Evening Lake. And I had already completed Bentley's Outpost, Lost Fleet, and Frozen Altars. After you complete 3 of 5 levels, Hunter gets trapped in a jail cell, which means that you will not be able to do any of the secret speedway missions or the skateboard sections that require Hunter to be there in order to activate. I've had a playthrough of Year of the Dragon where I didn't do Lost Fleet right away, and I paid for it because Hunter was not there. That is why I decided to do Honey Speedway and Lost Fleet early on in this episode rather than towards the end.
Spyro, we urgently need your help. The evil cat wizards of Velinia have stormed our castle and captured our princess. If we don't stop them right away, they'll force her to marry Prince Azrael.
Bonjour, and welcome back to Let's Play Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Last time we took care of some more of Evening Lake, mostly centering around levels that involve Hunter the Cheetah because, well, towards the end of the episode, our boy Hunter got trapped in a jail cell, sadly. Thankfully, the rest of the levels we have to do in Evening Lake don't require Hunter's interference at all. So, no worries here. So, welcome to Charmed Ridge. Usually, I think people do this level last in Evening Lake, or at least second to last, like I'm doing. This is the second largest level in Evening Lake, I would argue, slightly above Frozen Altars. It's not the shortest, though. But, what I like about Charmed Ridge, you see these cat wizards, right? The way their magic is, they're moving platforms around, and they're also shrinking and growing enemies. Does that not remind you of the gimmicks of Magic Crafters and Dreamweavers from Spyro 1? It sure does to me.
Hurry, Spyro! If we don't get to the castle right away, the princess will be forced to marry that loser Prince Azrael.
But at any rate, yeah, Charmed Ridge is a really nice level. I mean, it can be kind of tricky to navigate around in some spots, and it can be a little bit of a drag fest in other parts. But for now, we're basically just doing a nice stroll through the initial part of Charmed Ridge. And believe it or not, we are going to have an animal friend join us towards the end of Charmed Ridge. Matter of fact, this is technically that animal friend's last appearance in the game. Were it not for the fact that I decided to save the backtracking for him for later, so we won't be seeing that animal friend for the last time here in Charmed Ridge. We'll see him one last time during the backtracking segment that's inevitable to come later in this Let's Play. And there's also going to be one of those mystery vases somewhere around here, you know, that vase from Bamboo Terrace with the question mark on it. It'll be lurking around here somewhere.
Well, Spyro, today is your lucky day. The wizards and I have worked out a little deal. If you simply pay a small toll, they'll be happy to raise these steps and let you pass. You have chosen wisely, Spyro. I'll tell the wizards to raise the steps immediately. Oh, and best of luck rescuing that princess, or whatever it is you're up to.
At any rate, yeah, the cat wizards will raise and lower the steps just like the druids did in Magic Crafters. Almost exactly. And these Rhinox will shrink and grow throughout the level as well, which is like Dreamweavers. The homeworld of Dreamweavers and Dark Passage. So, kind of a twofer. And I die because the enemies in Charmed Ridge can be pretty. But at any rate, this area has a lot to digest. But first, we're going to glide over here and get this dragon egg. I don't recall a dragon egg being there exactly, but I guess it is what it is. Here in Charmed Ridge, there's also going to be 2 skill points to keep an eye out for. One in the main area here with Spyro, and another one in the section with our animal friend, who we'll be running into soon enough. Let's see. I think I'm going to want to keep going forward for now to get these gems. So you're going to have to glide from here to there to that cat wizard. Just in case, though, you may want to grab the Super Flame power-up, which is going to be our power-up for Charmed Ridge. Alright. Yeah, you just want to try and jump up here, really. Get this dragon egg. Sadly, when you get a dragon egg, it automatically turns off your power-up for some odd reason. I don't know why it does that, but it does. And I don't know if this or over there is better for the angle, but you want to glide to that tower over there, and you will get a skill point for that. Gonna be quiet for some concentration. First try, not too bad. And yeah, you get an extra life whenever you complete a skill point, as it were. I think in the original, you'd get a butterfly for every skill point, same with Spyro 2, but I guess they took the butterfly out because it would be kind of OP probably. We're not done with that section, though, because we're gonna head back, get this super flame power up, and now we're gonna climb this ladder here, because we have some cat wizards we need to defeat. From a distance, preferably. Because, yeah, there's really no other way to defeat these cat wizards without using a projectile of some sort. Plus, there is a metal container down there. Sometimes you will need a couple doses for this part of Charmed Ridge. It just comes with the territory, as it were. Okay, and there's fireworks over there. I wonder what they're for. Yeah, what are the fireworks for if we can just defeat that metal container from a distance, right? Alright, glide over here. Yeah, they put a rocket there for the metal container even though they didn't have to. Strange. Strange indeed. But yeah, you can also get over there from here. You know, all that stuff. I think it's a little harder from that angle rather than the angle that I went with, though. Is there a frog down here? Yes, there is. Interesting thing about the frogs in Charmed Ridge is that they actually have crowns, which makes you wonder if they used to be royalty of some sort. There is a fairy tale that if you kiss a frog, the prince will become a prince again, basically, because the prince was turned to a frog for some reason. I forget what the reason is in the actual story, or stories. You know. Could be a plural.
There's no time to lose. Prince Azrael and his cat armies are about to steal our poor princess.
So, we got more moving platforms over here. I don't really think you need the super plane to take out that cat wizard over there, though. I think we're gonna glide into him shortly here because that area over there is gonna be towards the end of Charmed Ridge. Let's see. Actually, we're gonna want to glide to that cat wizard from a different angle. Let's head over here to another somewhat out of the way cave. Some problematic armored Rhinox. Okay. Take care of this cat wizard. Come back around. The cat wizards that are going to grow and shrink the other Rhinox, when you defeat them, the Rhinox should shrink back down. Unlike Dark Passage, their transformations are a lot more temporary by comparison. Alright, so now we're going to do... Ooh! Oh my god, that was a close call. Alright, we're going to glide back the same way we came in. Nope, those are some pretty tough glides. We're going to go ahead and knock out this sub-area right here, since it's so convenient.
According to legends, there's a golden goose at the top of this here mountain. I want to be the first person to the top so I can grab it. I just bought some Insta-Sprout Ultra Super Grow seeds from a bear with a bag of gems. He said they were magic, but I can't make them do anything. You can have a couple if you like.
So, is anyone here familiar with the story Jack and the Beanstalk? Everyone watching this video? I assumed as much. It's a pretty common fairy tale spoken of for kids and whatnot. This is a little different though because we aren't really growing any beanstalks per se, but it does involve a seed puzzle of some sort. If you remember the puzzle from Zephyr in Spyro 2, this could be seen as kind of a follow-up to the mission where you have to keep planting and replanting seeds for the professor, which eventually will help you with the Romeo and Juliet side quest. But you also get orbs from the professor for doing it too. It's kind of weird how they handled that mission in retrospect. But yeah, you get 2 types of seeds this time around instead of just the one. Well, actually now that I'm on Zephyr, you actually were planting beanstalks. Now you're not. Interesting coincidence there, but anyway, it will have a mushroom seed and a sunflower, or is it a dandelion? So I want to say sunflower. I think dandelion is the one that you blow on, and it releases all those spores, I guess you could. Not really spores. Believe it or not, though, if it's what I'm thinking of, the dandelion is actually kind of a weed. Believe it or not. A weed is like an unwanted type of plant in someone's garden because they get in the way apparently. Okay, that was weird that the seed apparently despawned, or maybe I just overlooked it. That's a possibility as well, I can't deny it. Let's see, I think we've got 2 seeds here. You're not going to want to go over there right now because you'll be going there later on in this mission. So any gems that are up there you can get later on, thankfully. you want to do this setup for the second part. Jump on the mushroom. Hold up. Hold up. I believe if you hold down the jump button on there, you get a little extra vertical ascension on the mushroom. Okay, maybe we do have to go over here, actually. Yeah, there's a seat over there. Okay. But what's behind here is a metal container with gems in it. Can't get that now. We have to wait till the end of this sub-area. Alright, and now we're gonna plant this here, but I don't think... Oh, actually, I think this will work out. No, in fact. Alright, that's the first half of the Jack and the Beanstalk sub-area.
I found this egg on the way up here. I think it was laid by a golden goose. We'll have to keep going. We're almost to the top. You've been doing great so far. Why don't you take 2 more seeds?
Alright, so the second half is definitely a little bit trickier than the first half. If you remember, during the second half of the Zephyr mission, the equivalent, I should say, in Zephyr, you had to do a little bit of trickery with the seeds towards the end, where you would actually have to make sure the seeds are in a good position before you start actually planting the seeds, if that makes any sense. I'm pretty sure it's a similar situation here. Difference is you only get access to mushrooms right now. So I believe what we're going to want to do is go back. Was there another mushroom seed around here somewhere? I'm pretty sure there was. Yes, over here. Alright. Now we're going to hop back on this mushroom, and we're going to want to do something like this. Something like this. Alright. And we're going to glide on top of the mushroom, being very careful though. I don't know, I remember the original version of this mission and the PS1 version being annoying. I couldn't tell you if this is more or less annoying. That random despawn that happened earlier, if it was a despawn, probably put this behind the other one a little bit, but I've never really found this mission particularly consistent. Seems like towards the end I'm always struggling in this part, one way or the other. I could swear there was like a sunflower seed somewhere around here, and you need the sunflower seed if I recall. Or maybe not. Maybe you just get the mushrooms and you just have to jump on all of the mushrooms in a row. Cause yeah, there's 3 seeds here. It's strange, I don't remember. Oh, okay, I just remembered actually. So this is what you gotta do. This is the trickery with this part of the mission. You gotta take the sunflower seed, put it here, and then grab the mushroom seed, and this is how you do this part. Yeah, and you get back here just fine. So yeah, this is that Zephyr trickery that I was talking about. People compare this to the Zephyr mission. I can definitely see why. It's very similar to it. A little bit more condensed, and funnily enough, both are based on some sort of work of fiction. This is based on Jack and the Beanstalk, and the Zephyr mission was loosely based on Romeo and Juliet, so kind of funny how things turn around in that regard, I suppose. Anyway, though, mushroom over there, and we're gonna get the mushroom over there. 3 mushroom jumps in a row, and that should be the way to do this. I do remember it can be kind of finicky to get all the mushroom jumps together consecutively, but it's possible that it's a little less janky here in Reignited. Possibly. Not always the case, but possibly. And at least we have the hover to come in clutch towards the end, and there we go. So yeah, I guess the only real trickery is swapping the sunflower for the mushroom at that one point.
At last, I found the legendary golden goose. You can have another one of its eggs as a souvenir.
Alright, that pretty much finishes the Jack and the Beanstalk sub-area. We have a few more gems to get, but they're going to be on the way for the most part, so I don't feel the need to jump cut past them, other than the fact that most of them seem to be pretty low valued. But here we are, gem container. Ooh, a nice little burgundy gem. Actually, there might have been a couple there. Remember to double check gems by pushing down the left stick with your handy dandy Sparks treasure finder. He's pointing us back to the main area of Charn Ridge, so I hope this isn't going to be another spooky swamp situation, because that was a pretty annoying situation to be involved with. And I'm pretty sure the mystery base in Charmed Ridge is going to be a little bit later in the level. We're probably going to be doing the Animal Friend sub-area last, out of convenience. I dodged the magic spell that time. I kept getting hit by them. Okay, let's get over here, and...
I just saw Prince Asriel run into the castle. We have to stop him before he reaches the princess.
I believe we can do that by asking this guy over here. And why don't we just do that? To lower the bridge door? Draw door? I don't know what you would call that exactly. Oh man, I swear, the suction cup Rhinox are so deadly with their projectiles, man. Still can't believe I actually died on camera. I think there has been at least one on-screen death in each of my Spyro Let's Plays thus far, which is probably appropriate. I mean, going through the entire games without dying once is a bit hard to swallow, honestly. Granted, I believe the death in the original Spyro that I got was from a poorly planned out glide that I'm not even sure if I could say it's my fault or Reignited's fault for the change in the physics, but I mean, it is what it is. In Spyro 2, that was just some shenanigans, man, I'm telling you. I believe it was in Hurricos, there was some shenanigans going on there. A lot of firework bases in here, which are always satisfying to destroy. You know, you flame them and then they pop up into the air and fall back down and explode. Quite nicely, I might add. Is this gonna automatically take me to the NPC?
Hi, Spyro. Isn't Prince Asriel just the dreamiest? The other fairies and wizards won't let us get married, so we're going to elope. By the way, Asriel says you can have this egg if you don't tell anyone where we went.
Okie dokie then. So yeah, the Princess Fairy and the King of the Cat Wizards, I believe, they sort of just run away on a motorcycle and they just call it a day. Like, it's literally a well, I guess it's kind of a demonic-looking motorcycle, but still, that's just that's something else, man. Okay, let's see. I think we're gonna want to knock this Rhinoc out over here. Yeah. It looks like we knocked him out earlier, so I'm not sure why he respawned unless it was because of the sub-area shenanigans. Let's head back here, and we're going to take the swirly again, this time not warping ahead, although it's not really a big distraction. We're going to knock out this mystery base. You want to knock out a mystery base before you go into a sub-area. I'm pretty sure about this. Okay, come on, Cat Wizard. Shoot your spell at me. Alright, that'll work out just fine, honestly. We're gonna go over here to get these gems because then, oh look, it's gonna be a Sergeant Bird sub-area. And yes, normally that would be the last time we see Sergeant Bird in a playthrough, but I have not done the Molten Crater backtracking yet. I'm saving that for later, that way we can see Sergeant Bird one last time before the end of the Let's Play, rather than awkwardly, how should I say this? If we were to finish off Sergeant Bird here in Port 7, you'd probably miss his presence over the next few episodes. Whereas the current plan, the way it's looking like, is that he will come back like the second to last episode, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to jump cut to the next mystery base location. Alright, so the mystery base is going to spawn near those in and out makeshift stairs around here. Yeah, you can climb up these to get to the next location of the mystery base, which is over there. Kind of a precarious glide, but it will lead you back to the sub-area entrance to the Jack and the Beanstalk place. So, but again, don't go in a sub-area while you're in the middle of a mystery base side quest, because I'm pretty sure the mystery base will spawn back at the start. Maybe they fixed that in here, but I would always urge you to err on the side of caution, so that way you don't have to redo anything, or redo more than you have to. That can always be the kind of thing that can leave a bad taste in your mouth regarding a game or anything like that, you know? So, I believe there's only going to be 2 more mystery base spawns, and then we'll be pretty much done. I think these should be the last few gems in Charmed Ridge because, like I said, the Sergeant Bird area doesn't have gems, but it does have a skill point, and I think 2 dragon eggs, or at least 1. If it's not 2, let me check. Oh, yeah, I guess it's 1 egg, which is fine. Alright, you want to get to the top over here and glide back to the start of the level. Like, that seems to always be where the mystery base winds up. It's always the start of the level. Don't know what else to tell you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and jump cut to Sergeant Bird's area, okay? Alright, here we are at Sergeant Bird's area, and let's just dive right in.
Hey, Spyro. I'd like to stay and chat, but I'm late for an engagement with a fairy friend of mine. Just a friend, you understand. Strictly platonic relationship. Certainly not a violation of military protocol whatsoever. What? What are you giving me that look for?
Just a platonic relationship, he says. Well, alright then.
Where have you been, James? We were supposed to meet in the temple an hour ago. And don't give me that old matters of national security line again. I guess it doesn't matter, though. The whole temple is full of nasty cat witches anyway. We just have to call off our date. That is, unless you want to battle the witches.
Well, so this mission, what a way for Sergeant James Bird to go out. You gotta defeat a bunch of cat witches, right? So what you want to do, also if you destroy all the stained glass windows, you get a skill point. But since it might restore your health, maybe it won't, I don't know, you may want to put off destroying the last window until later in this mission.
So, I see those rocket launchers aren't just for show after all. Well, I just hope your accuracy is better than your punctuality, because there are still a lot more witches in the temple.
So there's gonna be 3 rounds of cat witches, okay? And that's problematic. First round, you're defeating 5 of them. Second round, it's 10. And the third round, well, it's not gonna be 15, but, well, you'll see what they do. At this point, it's worth mentioning something I forgot to mention in previous episodes that featured Sergeant Bird. If you hold down the L1 and R1 buttons, or whatever the equivalent is on your controller, you can strafe in midair with Sergeant Bird. Oh yeah, you can do that. That is a thing you can do. But it's not something that's mentioned in-game.
I must admit, James, I am impressed. There are still a few witches left, though, and this time they mean business. They even turn the floor into deadly blue ooze. Oh, do be careful, okay?
Deadly blue ooze. Oh boy. Thankfully, if you're proficient with Sergeant Bird's gameplay, you shouldn't have to worry about having to land on the ground, because you're better off being in the air, spamming your missiles against the cat witches. This is a lot easier than it was in the PS1 version, because of Sergeant Bird's missiles being a lot more homing than they were in the original. So yeah, you can literally just sit back, unleash your Armageddon of missiles, really. And eventually, yeah, you should defeat the cat witches. I mean, you do have like 3 or 4 hit points, and there's only so many cat witches, so... where'd the last one run off to? Somewhere around here? Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. Come here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Where you at? Oh, dang.
You did it, James. Oh, I knew you weren't the leader of the hummingbird resistant movement for nothing. Now we have the temple all to ourselves. But first, I have a present for you.
And what a nice present it is. Not sure about the name Abby, though. That name kind of has had some negative connotations in the video game industry as of late. Why that is, I'll just tell you to look up Last of Us 2 drama. And I will leave it at that. And we're going to leave off Sergeant James Bird for a little bit. Dismissed, soldier! We're going to see him a couple episodes from now, I think, when we're going to do like a final sweep of all the playable characters. Look forward to that. But for now, we are going to do the last Evening Lake level, Fireworks Factory, a fan favorite level for a lot of Spyro fans, myself included. I think there should be a cutscene that plays in between them, though. I'll skip around as appropriate. But I'll see you guys for commentary again back in Fireworks Factory. Okay? See you then.